Welcome everyone to our first in the series of back to school webinars with Canva to help prepare teachers as they get ready for the start of the school year. Great to see everyone dialing in from all sorts of places around the world today. And in today's webinar, we're going to be looking at how you can wow your classroom with artificial intelligence. As AI takes the stage in so many aspects of our lives, we're going to take a look at some practical ways of using this in the classroom and how Canva and our AI-powered tools can support you and your students. Before we jump into that, let me introduce myself. I'm Jonathan, and I'm a K-12 educator here at Canva, and I want to extend a big welcome to you all. As you might have been able to tell from my photo, I was actually a math teacher in my past life. And I'm also joined by some awesome members of the Canva for Education team, Lena, Mel, Ellie, Alexa, and Emily, who'll be answering any questions you have in the Q&A part of the Zoom, as well as sharing some links throughout today's webinar in the chat. We also have a very special guest today. We've partnered with a leader in the education space, a digital learning coach who you could say is an expert at waving a magic wand over all things edutech in the classroom. I'll pass over to you, Andrew.
Hey everyone, I'm so excited to be here with you all. It's so cool to see everyone tuning in from all over the world. My name is Andrew Davies. I am in Frisco, Texas as a digital learning coach. I work in 2 elementary schools, and I also run a TikTok and Instagram account called the Edutechwizard, where I just share all kinds of tips and tricks with teachers on how they can engage their students. But so excited to be here, and I'm going to throw it back to Jonathan.
Thanks, Andrew. So today we've got a jam-packed agenda, starting off with an overview of Canva for Education, then diving into Magic Design, which helps you create engaging classroom presentations with a single prompt. Next, we'll show you how Magic Write can streamline your lesson planning. And finally, we'll see what Magic features are available for your students to get hands-on with. But before we do that, I'd love to hear from all the attendees today. How familiar are you with Canva? Pop your answers into the chat on a scale of 1 to 5. Typing a 1 if you're a new user joining us, welcome. Or maybe a 5 if you're using Canva on the daily for you and your students. Seems like there's a big range. See some 3s, some 4s. Regardless of how familiar you are using Canva, we hope you'll take something away, as we'll be showcasing a lot of features for you to take back to the classroom. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Firstly, let's touch on what is Canva for Education. Canva for Education is your all-in-one visual suite. How we communicate is constantly evolving. And here at Canva, we want to ensure that teachers and students are equipped with the tools that they need in order to do this in the most effective way possible. You might have used Canva in the past to make some engaging presentations for your students or even posters for your classroom. But our visual suite has so much to offer. So whether it's collaborating on documents, editing videos, or even building websites, we've got you covered. We also want to celebrate some amazing milestones that you've helped us achieve. We're used by over 70 million students and teachers across the globe. But most importantly, we're 100% free for K-12 schools and districts from wherever you're listening in from today. If you'd like more info on signing up, we're just going to share a link in the chat about how to do this. So why is Canva for Education free? Well, it's a part of Canva's 2-step plan to build one of the world's most valuable companies. And secondly, to do the most good that we can through initiatives like supporting education and nonprofit programs. The reason why Canva for Education began in 2019 was that we wanted to provide accessible technology for all students and teachers, regardless of their school finances, empowering every educator and inspiring every learner. Another thing worth mentioning is that today's students are stepping into this increasingly digital world where visual communication is needed no matter what industry or what role they go into. So it's now more important than ever that we're preparing them for what they need for success. This could be the outcomes they learn in the subject that you teach, or something that goes beyond the classroom, like leadership or critical thinking. And we're passionate about teaching students the skills they need. The world is constantly changing, but those core skills like communication, collaboration, and being creative will always be needed to solve the problems of tomorrow. Now, here's the first resources I'm excited to share with you all. It's our Back to School Teacher Toolkit, which is designed by teachers for teachers, packed full of amazing resources to help you get to know your students, start planning your classes, and create engaging lessons this year. We shared a link for this that you can check out. But one thing I need to mention is don't worry if you missed any of the resource links, because at the end of this webinar, we'll also include all of these in your follow-up email. So that's all things Canva for Education. Let's jump into the first of our AI-powered features, Magic Design, and how it can be used to save you time and captivate your students. What is Magic Design? Well, it's an AI-powered tool within Canva that allows you to create any kind of design with a single prompt. Perhaps you're looking to create a presentation for your lesson tomorrow, or put together a highlight of some videos you've taken, and maybe even design a poster for your classroom. Now you can do this seamlessly, all at your fingertips. That's enough about me talking about it. Let's see it in action. So to get started, I'm going to use an example where I want to plan a lesson for my 3rd grade science class. In my Canva editor, I'll start by going to the design button on the left panel. Once I've got that open, all I need to do is type in my prompt. Today's lesson is going to be on magnetism. And in seconds, I'm presented with these range of designs that I can use as is or modify for my classroom. So I can go ahead, take a look through the different design options, select the one I want, and apply it to my design. It's that easy. Something I want to spotlight is that not only is Magic Design generating these relevant photos, graphics, and elements for my lesson, but you'll also notice it's actually populated my presentation with content as well. You can see a brief definition as an example for magnetism, and even an activity for students to try. Now, as I mentioned before, every classroom is different. So once this has been made, as the expert of your students, you're free to customize and make any changes that you would need to for this lesson. If you'd like to learn more about Magic Design, we're going to share a link to a handy tips and tricks sheet that you can use with some instructions and prompting ideas to create your own captivating lessons. Now I'll pass over to Andrew, who's going to show us how he's used Magic Design in his school district.
Thank you. So a lot like what Jonathan said, I've used Magic Design in those sometimes when I'm in a bind and I need to have a lesson ready to go the next day. I'll use Magic Design like I did here to make a presentation about the different animals or creatures you would find in the jungle. Now, what I do agree with that Jonathan said as well is that anytime we use AI, I always look at the Magic Design tool as a starting point. We know as teachers, time is of the essence, and I feel like this really gets you started in a really great place where you can then decide, like he said, for your students, what additional information do they need? What are some things that I could cut out of the presentation? And I know within the presentation itself, I don't know if it's able to click through or not, but when I actually created it, there are every now and then some images, right, that you would want to look at and make decisions for yourself on what would need to be removed. So I thought there was kind of a funny one in here that I wanted to leave in there on purpose, like right there. You have a group of friends kind of sitting around chatting, having coffee, which may not be the best image to use for talking about a jungle habitat. But like as you can see, like everything else in this presentation that I created was all done by AI. So I tried to leave it as plain Jane as I could so you could see exactly what it would come up with on its own. But like I said, any of these AI design tools, these Magic Design tools will get you started in the right place. So then that way you can use your time to maybe make an activity to go along with your presentation and give students better learning experiences and opportunities. Back to you, Jonathan.
Awesome. And I think that's so important that, again, it is just a tool and we want to continue to lean on the expertise of the teachers that we've continued to do. In this next part, we're going to take a look at another one of our AI-powered tools, Magic Write, which can save you time in the classroom. Now, I know we shouldn't have favorites, but Magic Write is probably one of my favorite tools because of how limitless the potential can be for teachers in the classroom. Whether you're looking to create lesson plans, generate ideas for project-based learning activities, or differentiate learning for your students, it can really do it all. To give you a better idea of how Magic Write can bring your ideas to life, here's a quick little video.
Are you ready to try your very own AI-powered teaching assistant in Canva? Magic Write is available for teachers and teaching staff in Canva for Education right now. Let's try it out. I want some lesson ideas for a 5th grade math class that will be relevant and fun for students who love basketball. Wow, they're going to love it.
Now, I need to make some lesson content for my 7th grade science students. How about a presentation about precipitation? What a time saver!
How about a brainstorm, though? Let's spark some creativity in our art history class. Nice.
Create easy, medium, and hard activities to teach second graders about the solar system.
Give me 10 story starter ideas for a grade 12 English class.
Adapt this text so my third graders can understand it.
Create 3 math problems for grade 8 geometry students.
Design a low budget science activity for 6th graders.
Whoa! The possibilities are endless. Try Magic Write and Canva for Education today.
Every time I watch that clip, I still feel that little buzz and excitement about the possibilities of using Magic Write in the classroom. But now it's your turn. I'd really love to hear from all of you watching. How would you like to use Magic Write in your classroom? Feel free to add some answers into the chat there. Maybe share what grade or subject you're teaching. If there's any particular ideas that have come to you from that video, it could be things like lesson plans, generating questions. You can see some about newsletter articles, rubrics, lots of great ideas in there. I'm going to showcase a few of the ideas that we've put together about using Magic Write in the classroom and see what you can take away from those today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a science experiment to my lesson with Magic Write. I'm going to open up a new Canva doc. And just by typing that / button on our keyboard, that brings up that little drop down and then selecting the Magic Write action. Go ahead. You can prompt what you're looking for. Once you're happy with it, you can generate. And voila, you've got your next experiment for your 3rd grade science class on magnetism, ready to go. Detailing what materials you might need, instructions, and even extension activities for your students. Here's another unique way of using Magic Write in the classroom. I'll let Andrew talk through what he's come up with for his students.
So on one of my campuses, I lead a student news team. And so, we don't have a ton of time to meet together. We actually only get 30 minutes 2 times a week to meet and come up with our weekly news program, which is all done in Canva. And so we put together a video. The students break it up into different sections. And one thing we tried this year together is I showed them how we could use the Magic Write tool to write scripts for our newscast. So this one was just an example I threw together for today, which includes Jonathan, of course. Basically, I asked with my prompt, I asked it to leave blank spaces so that we could fill in our own local team name, our own player names, things like that. And we actually use this quite a bit this school year to kind of be able to churn out those weekly news reports. And one other thing I like here, if you look at the left, that image, when you click on Magic Write after you've created something, you can highlight the entire creation and it gives you a bunch of different options on how you could adjust it on the fly. So for example, the first time I made this one, it gave me 2 names that were just random names like Bob and Julie. And I wanted it to be Andrew and Jonathan. So I just highlighted it and I went to custom prompt and I said, will you please rewrite this, but with Andrew and Jonathan instead? And of course it did that, but then it spelled Jonathan wrong. So I did the same thing, highlighted it, use the custom prompt and say, please spell Jonathan with an A instead of an O at the end, and it did it all correctly. So very quickly, we were able to churn out this script ready to go.
Thanks, Andrew. Really looking forward to getting our regular weekly sports recap off the ground. So, but I think it's so great that we can use Magic Write as teachers for all sorts of learning opportunities in the classroom. Now, once you've had a try with Magic Write, you can start experimenting with the different prompts that Andrew's mentioned. This could be adapting your lesson for another class, making a rubric for your assessment. One of the questions that students would always ask me is, sir, but when are we going to use this in real life? So going back to our science lesson, Magic Write has given me some great talking points to discuss with my students, like using magnetism for MRI scans in healthcare, or how our data is stored in our computers. And again, we're going to share a link in the chat about a cheat sheet of how we can use different Magic Write prompts for your lessons. And just a reminder again that we'll be sharing all of these with you in our follow-up email as well. How can we take this to the next level though? Andrew, you've got a really interesting way to combine Magic Write with another one of our tools. Can you chat through that for us?
Yes, definitely. So if you're like me, I like to plan ahead as far into the future as possible as a teacher. And we always do on my 2 campuses, we do morning meetings where we do different activities each morning, usually based around social emotional learning. And so one of the things that I tried this year was I used the Magic Write tool in a Canva document, and I asked it to generate 50 different would you rather questions that were appropriate for fifth grade students. And then what I did is I utilized the bulk create tool, which if you're not familiar with the bulk create tool, definitely check it out. I think later we'll share a resource that I have that has some videos showing how to actually do this. But then I was able to instantly, with the bulk creator tool, take those 50 ideas and drop them in and create an individual slide for each day with a different would you rather question. And you could do the same idea with word problems, with makerspace, STEAM ideas, and anything really, where you could basically generate different slides for each day instantly.
Yeah, I love that you've combined so many of those different features there. I'm just seeing there's a lot of great questions coming through. Just a reminder, make sure you're asking in the Q&A so that you can ensure that you get your question responded to by our lovely chat team. The last exciting thing I want to mention about Magic Write is that it's available in all of our products across the Visual Suite. So whether you're creating a document, a presentation, or even a website, your AI-powered assistant is here to save you precious time as you create resources in the classroom. Now, we've actually spent a lot of time talking about how Canva can be used as a teacher, but we can't just get all the fun. How can our students benefit as well from these AI-powered tools for their own learning? Magic Studio has a range of features with which your students can get hands-on with. We've got Magic Grab, Media, Morph, Animate, and Resize and Magic Switch. And these are the ones I'd like to show you today. So let's take a look at these in action. Before we do that though, I'd love to hear from all of you watching. Which of these Magic Studio features have you tried before? Again, pop your answers into the chat, typing the number which matches the feature that you've tried. Maybe you've tried all of them. Maybe you've only tried a few of them. Again, looks like we're getting a lot of different responses. I'm really excited actually, because if you haven't tried these before, I can't wait to show you what we've got lined up today. Starting with Resize and Magic Switch, I can take that magnetism presentation that I made before, go ahead and with a few clicks, turn that into a summary document for my students. So we'll let that generate. And this is really useful because maybe whether your student was absent and need to catch up on some work or simply need a printout of the notes to read along during the lesson, it's a great way to improve accessibility in the classroom. Andrew, you've got your own application of Resize and Magic Switch that you want to share with us today.
Jonathan took the words right out of my mouth, honestly. Like, this is when as a teacher, this just screams accessibility and accommodations. And I know if you're a teacher who's ever had students who need the class notes, right, that they need to be able to take with them, this is absolutely game changing, because if you have daily slides already created with your notes and what you're going over as a class, you can immediately have it switched to just a bulleted list. You can have it switched to a blog. You can have it switched to song lyrics, which is pretty wild, where they could actually sing the notes if they wanted to. And in this application here, I just simply had it translated, right? Which is huge for parent communication. If you're trying to send something out to parents, you can take whatever presentation that you've done in class, turn it into a pamphlet or a blog post, and then translate it and email it out to parents, which is such a huge game-changing, time-saving ability.
You won't be hearing us singing, but I love the community piece that it can reach all different languages and make everything accessible that you're making in the classroom. Magic Media is another great one that students can use to generate images for their projects. So these would look great in my students' science reports, or really effective in lessons where I'd like students to build their vocabulary skills. Through descriptive prompting, they'll be able to generate the right images they need for their task. Now, here's a really cool idea that Andrew's going to take us through for an English language arts and reading class, actually.
So this is an actual example from one of my third grade students at school. So we did a lesson on, it was digital citizenship. We were talking about how to be safe online, and we were talking about if you were confronted with cyberbullying. And so I gave them a blank Canva template that was basically a comic strip. And they were just asked to design a scene, right, where they were trying to deal with a bully. Now, the AI that's generated here is actually just the backgrounds of the 4 cells that are kind of stacked on top of each other. So if you look in the background, you'll see like there's a I know that the student made like a child's bedroom on the first two images, and the third image was actually the one that I watched them struggle with the most. That was where they were trying to create an image of two boys pointing at a screen and laughing. They wanted it to be a cartoon style. And so what was great is I watched them kind of have a healthy struggle of writing these descriptive paragraphs to the AI, trying to describe exactly what it wanted. And they had to keep changing their description, right? And changing their word choices to get exactly what they were looking for. And they had to do that on both that two bottom cells there with those background images. But one thing I will just say real quick too about the AI image generating, like I'm a big fan of artistry and artwork, and I feel like the two can definitely coexist. Especially in Canva, they have the option to use elements. So all these other characters are elements that the students have dropped on top of the AI images. And then they can also use the draw tools within Canva and draw on top of it as well to make it a little more of a mixed media type of design. But I love the speed and the time this saves students, especially if they're not the greatest artists in the world, or maybe they're reluctant to draw. This at least gives them an option where they can generate images to go along with their story.
Yeah, I think it's so important to emphasize that we're working alongside these tools. And so combining Magic Media with the elements, graphics, and the draw tool there really still puts the autonomy in the hands of our students, that they're in control of the narrative and the skills that they're building there. Here's a really cool idea that I just need to share about Magic Grab. So what this teacher did was that they were able to take their students on a virtual field trip. All they needed to do was just take a normal photo and then use Magic Grab to isolate the students within that photo. After that, they were transported to a completely new destination by placing them on a different background. Now, before I pass to you, Andrew, about how you used background remover for your elementary students, I'm actually just I'm getting some breaking news. I think Ethan, one of your students, is reporting live from the jungles of India. Let's hear from him.
Hello, my name is Ethan. I am reporting to you from the India habitat. This Bengal tiger also lives in parts of Asia. A Bengal tiger can weigh up to 500 pounds, also be 6 feet. A female tiger is called a tigress. A female Bengal tiger can have up to 2 to 4 cubs. A Bengal tiger is a really awesome animal. Thanks for watching. Bye.
I had to choose that example, one, because he's like the cutest kid ever, and I love how he says tiger. But also, he actually had so impressive. He's a first grader, and they had to memorize this, right? Which was bravo, right? But all this looks really fancy, right? It looks really impressive. We had these playing, at open house, and parents were just amazed and wowed. That all it really takes is the amazing tool of the background remover and layering. So basically just taking a video, putting it in the background, taking a video of your students, popping them on top, and then taking the background away. And that's really all there is to it to create these types of designs. And I'll tell you, the first graders actually did these themselves, which is really impressive. So on their iPads, we train them how to do, I actually have a program I call Camp Canva, and I went in and I trained them how to use each tool one at a time each day. And they learned how to take the video. Now they took videos of each other and then drop the video into Canva and then create these reports. Now, and then what's also nice about Canva is I could take the students, I just clicked on his video and I was able to take away his face because, as you know, we want to protect our students' identities. And I was able to drop in that little element face so that way he could still be there in some shape or form. But anyways, this is one of my favorite features of Canva's AI tools is the fact that you can take the background away with no green screen, which is wild. So you have no need for green screens. You can put them up against a regular wall and take the background away.
Yeah, it's so great to hear that you don't need any of those pieces of equipment, that all you need to do is take a quick and then place your students wherever you want them to. And it's so encouraging to hear that they were able to pick it up so easy as well when they were using those tools. Another tool I want to show you is Magic Morph. So it can help add a bit of wow to your presentation. Just by typing in a prompt, we can customize text so that it matches the theme of the topic that we're presenting. Maybe your students are giving presentations on volcanoes, or perhaps there's a seasonal concept your class is celebrating during the school year. This is a great way to make those finishing touches on those projects. And sometimes we like to have animations that are enough to bring just that little spark to your presentations, but not so much to distract the audience from the content. So the last tool I want to share with you, Magic Animate, can apply these to your whole presentation at the click of a button. You can check out all the different animations available, and when you're ready, you can present to your audience and take it away. Now, we've absolutely flown through all of these different features here, and I know we've covered a lot, but we've actually only scratched the surface with what you can do in your classroom with Canva. Some of the additional things that you'll find in our back to school teacher toolkit, which we'll share in the chat again, are making interactive storybooks, editing introduction videos, or creating mind maps. And there's so much more to explore as well. So what's next for you all? Well, we hope you've been able to take something away from today's webinar on how to wow your classroom with AI. We'd love to take a moment as well for you to connect with us and see how else Canva can support you in the classroom. So no matter where you are around the world, you're welcome to join our Facebook community, where teachers share their resources, ideas, and community managers update you with the latest and greatest from Canva. You can follow us on X, where we spotlight teacher use cases and what's happening in classrooms throughout the school year. I also want to share that all of our educator resources can be found at this site here, from tutorials, playbooks, and even resources for your students to use as well. And finally, something that I'm really excited to announce is that we've just recently launched our Teacher Essentials course. So if you're wanting to be an official Canva certified teacher, then you can check that out at the link. So that's actually everything that we've got there. I want to say a big thank you to Andrew, the Edutechwizard, for showing us some practical ways for how we can get ready for back to school this year. We hope you've taken away something from today's webinar about how you can use Magic Studio to wow your classroom with AI. Just a reminder that at the conclusion of the webinar, you'll be prompted to respond to a survey, and that's where you'll receive your certificate, recognizing the time that you've spent here today. Thanks again, everyone, and we'll look to you at the next one.